Throughout the 14 years of the MCU's existence, it has had its fair share of sad stuff. So today I thought it might be fun to count down my top 10 saddest moments in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. A few things to get out of the way. First, this is my opinion. It's alright if you disagree. I encourage it if you disagree. Let me know some of your saddest moments down in the comments below. Second, I decided not to include any of the Marvel television stuff in this video. That's everything not made directly by Marvel Studios, but stuff like Netflix and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. For two reasons. One, there's just so much of it, it could dominate the list. So if I'm going to do a top 10 with those, I would make it its own separate one. And two, I have not seen all of that. I'm working my way through it right now. I think it would be unfair to include things that I have not fully seen on a list. It's kind of unfair. So I just did only the main Marvel Studios stuff. And the third thing worth noting is that to avoid any repeats, once a movie or show appears on this list, it will not appear again. So, for example, if Ant-Man and the Wasp, I don't know why that would have any sad moments, but let's say that's on the list, it will not be on the list a second time, only once. Let's hop into this. Alright, at number 10, I have the ending to Captain America, the First Avenger. Now the reason this makes the list is because the entire final sequence of this movie is so heartbreaking. When you have Steve Rogers stepping up to save the day, defeat Red Skull, and he realizes he's going to have to sacrifice himself, and he and Peggy have that conversation about them making the date for their dance, and then he goes in the ice and he wakes up in 2011, 2012, whenever the epilogue for that movie takes place, and Nick Fury comes to him, says all that he missed, and Captain America says this to end the movie.
I had a date.
Every time I watch it, it bums me out when it ends, because I'm like, man, he never got that. And I am very happy that my man got that dance at the end of Avengers Endgame. But every time I watch Captain America the First Avenger, the movie always ends on a low note. That Captain America did everything to save everyone else, but he lost everything in the process. Now at number 9, sticking with Captain America, we have the final battle from Captain America Civil War. This moment has actually appeared on a couple of the top 10 lists I've done, which is neat. This fight, for me, is packed with more emotion than any other fight in this franchise, because, of course, it's just visually awesome to see, but then you take in the emotion of what's fueling Tony, of his parents' death, and then the relationship between Steve and Bucky, and the fact that Tony Stark and Steve Rogers are two friends that are going head-to-head with the intent of causing serious damage. If Tony Stark won this fight, someone would have died. That someone would have been Bucky, and he got to the point he probably would have been willing to kill Steve too to get what he wanted. And through the entirety of this fight, the stakes were so high as I was watching it, and there was a moment where I said, is one of them going to die? Now the fight is a spectacle at the start, but where it really gets emotional, where it really gets sad, is after they fall down into the pit and Steve says, "He's my friend," to which Tony responds,
So was I.
And the way it ends with Bucky getting his arm blown off and Cap just shredding that Iron Man suit that's still the most beautiful Iron Man suit we've ever had, to him surrendering the shield because Tony says he doesn't deserve it, and walking away with Bucky knowing that this friendship is broken, makes me so sad. And then also you factor in Cap's line,
I could do this all day.
and while it may make you smile in the theater, you have to go back and remind yourself that the last time we heard him say that, he was saying it to a bully, meaning Iron Man is now the bully. Number 8 was something different until I started talking a couple seconds ago, and I was like, no, it's not that, it's something else. It's WandaVision when she creates the Hex. There's a lot of stuff in WandaVision that could take this title. I originally had the goodbye from that show written, but I ended up changing it because while you feel the emotion of their goodbye the first time you watch it, it feels less and less emotional as you rewatch it, and I've seen that episode a few times now, and it doesn't pack the same punch as it did originally. However, the scene when Wanda creates the Hex is so saddeningly beautiful. When you have her driving into Westview and it's all run down and poor, and she gets there and she sees the lot of the house that had not been built yet, and she takes the property deed that said to grow old in Wanda and Vision, and the two of them were going to live there, and then she has her meltdown and creates the Hex. It's such a fantastic moment. It's so layered. It goes so deep. It's very beautiful, and to me it might be the highlight scene of that show. That whole episode is really the highlight of the show, because it's also the "What is grief that I love persevering" line, which is a great line, but I think the best scene goes to Wanda creating the Hex, and I get sad every time I watch it. Now, number 7, I had way too much trouble narrowing it down to one thing, so I kind of did a cop-out. I picked the last 10 minutes of Avengers Endgame. It's roughly 10. I didn't feel like actually looking up how long it was, so I just averaged out at 10. Now what that is the funeral to the end of the movie. I originally would have put Iron Man's death here, but I feel like that's not as sad upon further rewatches like it is the first time. But everything else after that is so amazing. When we hear Tony Stark's speech, his final speech, that's to the characters, but in a way it's also to the fans, which is awesome to hear. And then the way it reveals that that's a message he left for his daughter when he says, "I love you 3000. The funeral where we see the proof Tony Stark has a heart arc reactor that brings it all full circle back to the first Iron Man film. And then the conversation with Morgan and Happy about cheeseburgers, and Wanda and Clint's conversation about Vision and Natasha. And then there's the Thor scene with Star-Lord, which is a bit but you do still feel some of the sadness and emotion in that of him giving up the title to Valkyrie because he does not feel like he's fit to be king. And then it ends with Cap giving the shield to Sam Wilson and getting his dance with Peggy Carter. It's such an emotional mess, the last 10 minutes of Avengers Endgame, and it does make the previous 2 hours that are a mess worth it. And every time I watch it, I have like such a strong reaction to it where I have a smile on my face, but at the same time I'm like, I'm gonna miss these guys, man. I miss Steve Rogers right now. But the reason this falls so low on the list is because, much like Iron Man's death, once you've rewatched Endgame enough times, you don't really feel the weight of those moments as much. But at the time, when Endgame came out and that was it, we didn't even get a post-credit scene, nothing, it just ended right there. What a way to end that storyline. It's still great, it just isn't as great anymore. Let's venture back into Phase 1 for a moment. Number 6, I did Thor's Sacrifice from Thor. Now this moment is followed up by the most badass moment in the movie when Thor gets his powers back and just goes ham on the Destroyer. But I'm talking about the moment before this, when the Destroyer's destroying this town and Thor's trying to get everyone out, and then he realizes the only way he can do it is to go talk to his brother face to face. So he goes up there, he accepts his fate that he's gonna have to die for these people. Brilliant conclusion to his character arc, by the way. It's one of the best character arcs in this franchise. And then he goes up to the Destroyer. I'm gonna play the speech. I'm just gonna edit out the gap so I don't get hit with a copyright claim. But his speech to Loki before the Destroyer kills him is beautiful.
Brother, whatever I have done to wrong you, whatever I have done to lead you to do this, I am truly sorry. But these people are innocent. Taking their lives will gain you nothing. So take mine and end this.
Now the reason it's sad is because it's this moment of Thor accepting his death, and all his friends are watching this, and he's going to give his life to save all these people he just met because he's just that good of a guy now. And then the fact that it's the order given by his own brother makes it even more saddening. Moving into the top 5, we have the snap from Avengers Infinity War. This really has everything. The way it starts out with Vision getting killed and then Thanos snaps his fingers and you know right then, it's over. The heroes just lost. And then people start to dust and it just gets more depressing as it goes. I mean, we see Bucky go, we see Falcon go, we see Wanda lay into it, she doesn't even care anymore. And then Black Panther, I was like, what? And then we go over to Titan. Mantis goes, Drax goes, Star-Lord goes, Doctor Strange goes. It just keeps getting worse. And if you didn't cry when you heard,
I don't feel so good,
you have no soul. Because that line still breaks me. Seeing this little kid, his senses going off, he knows he's about to die, and he's trying to fight it off and it doesn't work and he dies in his mentor's arms. That's how you end a movie. And that's how you make your audience cry. Number 4 comes from one of the newest additions to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it's a scene from Moon Knight. But not any scene from Moon Knight, it's the steak scene from Moon Knight. This is the only moment on this that is not wrapped up in any action or emotional payoff or followed up by action or anything. This is just a moment in the middle of an episode of a dude who missed his date and is really upset about it. This scene makes me so sad every time I watch it that it makes me not want to rewatch the episode just because I don't want to get sad again. When it's one long shot, which is beautiful. The camera never cuts. You really feel the emotion more of it zooming in. And Steven calling and realizing he missed the date and being a vegan but ordering steak because he just needs it at that moment. And then the way it cuts there from him throwing the roses away and eating all the chocolate and giving his fish some sprinkles. Oh man, I just rewatched it yesterday because I wanted to rewatch Moon Knight and it's such a sad scene to get through. Thank God after that it cuts to him finding the phone in the apartment, but Stephen Grant can't catch a break because that call sucks for him also. That steak scene, I will never not get upset over it. It's so well written, so well crafted. Oscar Isaac, best actor the MCU has ever seen. He sells it, and it makes me not want to rewatch Moon Knight. Right, the top 3 here. We're going to hop over to the James Gunn side of the MCU real quick. In 3rd place, taking home our bronze medal, is Groot's death from Guardians of the Galaxy. And this is something that actually gets sadder as I watch it. This death does not start to rest easy at all. I actually get more upset about it every time I see it because I adore Groot. I adore Groot. I want adult Groot back for Volume 3. It would make me so happy to see adult Groot again because I haven't gotten enough adult Groot. The way that when it hits Groot, what he has to do, and he makes the cocoon, and they're all in there, and Rocket is crying, telling him he can't die, he can't do this, and then the line.
We are Groot.
Before the ship crashes down and Groot dies. It is making me sad thinking about it. It's such a well done moment in such a well done movie, and if you do not get emotional over Groot's death, you're just plain and simple not human. Number 2, Aunt May's death from Spider-Man No Way Home. A moment I never thought would crack the top 3, hell, probably not even the top 10, but this movie managed to do it. And the reason this death worked so much is because Aunt May's only concern in this moment is Peter. She sees the blood on Peter's hand that came from her head and assumes it's him. And she just, she's talking about she just needs a minute, and you see her shaking, and Marissa Tomei nailed the crap out of this moment. And then the way she falls and Peter's just there taking care of her. But so many of the sad moments come not from Aunt May herself, but from the world around it that help make this moment even more sad. When Happy pulls up and he realizes what happened, and then he starts crying and screaming while they're arresting him, and the fact that Peter doesn't even get a chance to say goodbye because he gets shot by damage control and has to run. And the line that gets me every time from this scene is the moment when he's sitting there and he says,
We're okay. It's just me and you.
Which is a callback to in Homecoming when Aunt May says to Peter,
just lay it out. It's just me and you.
It's a beautiful scene, an otherwise beautiful movie, and it might be one of the standout scenes from that movie. When I think of No Way Home, Aunt May's death is one of the apartment fight and Aunt May's death, that's funny because they go together, and the ending are like the things I think about. And if Aunt May's death was done any differently, this movie would not be as good as it was. But coming in first place is the ending of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Oh boy, this ending scene is perfect. It wraps up the movie in such a fantastic way. And if you had told me that a green chick, a walking thesaurus, a talking tree, and a raccoon at the end of a movie would be in space shooting off colorful fireworks in a funeral to a space pirate and it would make me cry, I wouldn't believe you. But it just about does. It's so perfect in the way it's all set to father and son, which caps off Peter and Yondu's storyline through that film while they're watching, and we get to see the way that this one funeral brings everyone together, how it brings the Guardians together into a family, how it brings Mantis together, how it brings Rocket and Star-Lord together as best friends, and it brings the Ravagers together, and it has the best shot of the entire MCU. It's not a massive, bright, colorful shot. It's a shot of a raccoon shedding a tear. And that's how James Gunn ends the movie. The ending of this movie makes me sad every time. It's such a beautiful conclusion, and the fact that this movie doesn't end on a loud, exciting moment, but instead on a quiet, personal one, is the icing on the cake for what makes Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 so special. There you guys go. Those are my top 10 saddest moments from the MCU. What are some of your saddest moments? Do you agree with me? Do you disagree? Let me know down in the comments below. Also leave a like on this video, subscribe, click on the bell icon to receive all notifications from the MCU HQ. That's gonna be it. Have a great day, guys.